when the mental health comes, 90% of our concentration goes on the word mental and not the health. So today we have with us Mahua ma'am, who is CEO of One-to-One Help.
We've helped somebody who ingested poison on a train whose phone was dying. How do you detect that somebody is at risk for suicide?
So can I consider therapy is kind of a exercise for brain? Who needs the therapy the most, founder or the investor?
Whoa! An opening happened at One-to-One Help, right place, right time, right person, and that's how it went.
And was this opening for the CEO position?
Absolutely not, no.
So can you tell me more about what is this One-to-One Help and what you do in this thing? So today we have with us Mahua ma'am, who is CEO of One-to-One Help. So let's get started with this podcast and ask more about what is One-to-One Help. Yeah, hello ma'am.
Hi, so nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah ma'am, so please can you help me understand how did your journey look like and how did One-to-One Help start?
Okay.
Yeah.
My mother started One-to-One Help 24 years ago with her business partner. At that point in time, they were just doing a stress reduction workshop for some clients.
Yeah.
And there was no real concept of mental health program or this kind of well-being program in corporate India at that point in time.
Okay.
So this is how they started. Slowly they grew. Mostly it would be through referrals.
Yeah.
Right? So one company referred us to another, and that's how business grew organically. For me, I studied in Bangalore my whole life.
Yeah.
So from KG till 12th standard, and in 5-6 different schools in various parts of Bangalore. And then I did ISC, then I went abroad for my undergrad where I studied history.
Yeah.
And I came back here because I wanted to work here immediately after that. And then I worked as a research assistant at Shrishti, as a research associate at a company called Mod Institute.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a lot of urban planning, but after working in some projects in the city and realizing how much it takes, I changed my track and decided to study public policy.
Yeah.
So for that, I went abroad again. I did my master's in public administration at Columbia, which is in New York. And I came back again because I did want to work here. My degree was about working in a developing country.
Yeah.
So again, I worked at an NGO for about 2 years. And then I switched over to a startup. And then from the startup, an opening happened at One-to-One Help, right place, right time, right person. And that's how I came in.
And was this opening for the CEO position?
Absolutely not. No. We're a very professional company, and actually it was never, people would ask me all the time when I was growing up, so you will take over the company? I said, no, we want nothing to do with the company. I was a very bad kid. I did not know what my parents did, how stressed out they were, nothing. Did not pay attention. Was very selfish and self-involved. But yeah, so at that point in time, the COO of One-to-One Help, she said, what are you doing? Like, why don't you join and look after product and strategy? And that's how I joined One-to-One Help. But again, it was never in the plans for me to become CEO. We were looking for a CEO.
Yeah.
And we were trying to find it. And at that point in time, one of our board advisors said, for investment or either which way, it might be a good idea for somebody from the promoter family to become the CEO.
Yeah.
And I still had 6 months to think about it, and I really did think about it, whether I want to take it on or not. It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
And then, that's how I then became
It is
CEO.
difficult when something is already established and then you're starting at that point.
Yeah.
And then you have to take to that expectation level and you have to work. And there are people who are more experienced than you who are working under you.
Yes.
So it is difficult for a founder or a CEO to have that age gap and make them understand how to deal with the problems, especially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So can you tell me more about what is this One-to-One Help and what you do in this thing?
Sure. Yeah. So One-to-One Help is we like to say we're an emotional well-being platform.
Emotional well-being?
Well-being platform.
Yeah.
We say emotional, there's a history to it because I think before, every time we said mental, there's some stigma, and we actually do work largely with emotions, right?
Yeah.
So it's emotional, and we say well-being because we are not interested in health. So health may be absence of disease. We are interested in well-being, which means happiness, purpose, thriving. That's the goal of what our counselors want to do when they counsel people. So that's what we're interested in. So we do everything. So right from awareness through launches and sessions and group activities, webinar, seminar, to providing access to a trained, qualified counselor for any issue that a person may face. It doesn't have to be a big issue. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could even mean, oh, I'm a founder who's doing really well on my communication skills, but some places I'm not assertive enough with my team because most of my teammates are my friends.
Yeah.
I want to work on that, right? So even that is perfectly fine. So we provide access to those therapists. We do a lot of group activities. We have a platform, an app, and a web that has over 1,000 pieces of psychoeducative content. Yeah. All of this has been written by a counselor, and it's for an Indian context. Yeah. So it's written by an Indian counselor for an Indian context, because that's been part of our DNA from day one, and I think that's part of why we've been successful also. And then we have some allied things like diet, nutrition, legal, financial consulting. Yeah, all of this we do. And then we have some specific products for some cohorts. So for parents, we have a specific product. For shift workers, because their life and the struggles they have is very different. A lot of sleep issues, a lot of family time that you lose. Yeah. So we have different products for different cohorts. For managers, we have some interventions, etc. So that's largely what we do.
If I have to understand your product or the service what you have been providing, it is more B2B than B2C, I guess. B2C is not there also, or it is there? You do even B2C?
We do very limitedly, and I'll tell you what the reason for that is. Actually, I think B2 is still very expensive to get a counselor in the B2C market. Like, you pay a lot out of pocket. Yeah. So we did a B2B, we've always been B2B, and there are a lot of people that have access to counseling because their company is funding it, right? We work with a lot of blue-collar workforce also. Yeah. Not many people can afford paying $1,500 to $2,000 per counseling session. Whereas people like us can, perhaps, maybe. But yeah, largely it's B2B that we do. And we work with some educational institutions also, so colleges and universities.
Yeah, this is also because of one thing, I guess. In India, if you see, in the West and in India, how mental health is seen is completely different. Yes. So I want you to stress on this, like, how is mental view, like mental health seen, like which perspective? I want to see that both of the things, like, okay, in Western, mental health is seen in this spectrum or in this angle, and in India, how it is seen. Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, like I was saying, right, till COVID happened, there's still a lot of hesitancy around mental health. We weren't even using the word mental health, really. We say emotional well-being. Part of the reason is why? Because people said, oh, the moment you call it mental health, you're not going to have people come in, right? So I think that acceptance is there in the West a lot more than perhaps in India. The pandemic happened, I think that changed a lot of things, and people realized, like, everybody may need some mental health support. There's still some ways to go in terms of, accessing it or saying that I'm taking counseling, right? Even that people may not share. So I think it's quite regular to tell your friends, maybe in the West, that, I'm seeing my therapist and they said this. Yeah. But here, maybe that may not necessarily be the case. So it's quite common in the West. A lot of people are taking medication for their depression, anxiety, OCD, whatever else it is. Fairly common, fairly okay. But here again, I don't think many people talk about that. There's still a lot of stigma around.
I guess it is also because of the lack of awareness and knowledge people have in this segment. Or it might be also because of some of the
social.
This is a stigma which is created by the people. Actually, when we say mental health, and the word mental itself makes it different. Yeah. We never see the health word. Yeah. When the mental health comes, 90% of a concentration goes on mental, the word mental, and not the health. Yeah. So can you tell why?
I think that's just how we've grown up and how it is. And also, okay, so one other difference I want to say is in the abroad, I think people are quite individualistic, but our society is quite communal. So So yeah, okay, we didn't have mental health, but you lived in a family, in a community, and so you got support in some other way, shape or form, right? We used to live in joint families, or you had a stronger knit neighborhood and a community. And so while you didn't have mental health or therapist support, there's still some support systems available that maybe now less so. But yeah, I think that's a different, the one difference between the West and India. And in counseling, often what we have to do first, and I think there's a difference again in India and the West, is you have to empathize and reflect back that this person has come for counseling, and it has taken a lot of courage for them to do that. And it's a good thing that they've done that and taken that step to help themselves. Maybe in the West, you don't have to spend so much time doing that, but here we do that. We do say, look, it's taken a lot. I'm really glad that you've shared this with me, and establish a lot of empathetic things before you get to solving the concern that they may have. Yeah.
Before this podcast also,
Yeah.
this thing happened with me yesterday.
Right.
And one of my friends, she said me that she's going for a therapy session.
Sure.
And I was like, no, what happened to you? Like,
Right.
are you okay? And
Right.
so I'm understanding now, okay, we are talking about the people. It is like we have to change first. Like,
Yes.
when it comes to a person says he's going
Yes.
to a therapy, it doesn't mean there's
Yes.
something seriously wrong.
Absolutely
it can be
not.
something for the happiness, or they
Yep.
might be having some stress, anxiety.
Yes.
And for a small issue or a problem, they might be having some sessions and therapy.
Yeah.
And they're like, to get back to normal. But we as a people, when we think
Right.
therapy, you're like, oh, seriously, damn, you're gone.
No, I also have a disagreement. You said to get back to normal. No, it should be normal, right? You exercise.
Yeah.
So why not go to therapy, right? Like, just to maintain your your mind space or whatever, right? It's not just for when something is off, but also it should be something for when things are positive, and also it should be things that you do constantly to maintain your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I consider therapy is kind of a exercise for brain?
I think it's somebody who is listening to you and is your advocate and helping you cope with something, and hopefully giving you the skills so that next time around you can cope with it yourself, or for you to understand yourself better. Yeah. So maybe you can call it exercise, but that way you can call meditation also exercise for the brain. I wouldn't say they're the same thing. I think there's a lot more that happens in therapy.
Yeah. My next question is to all these Gen Z people, and
Yeah.
I guess they have to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay. I see here and there friends of mine, like, I'm into too much of stress, this.
Yes.
What is your take on these Gen Z people? So if you
Sure.
see 25%, in the report says this, 25% of the Gen Zs who are employees feel that they are overstressed or overloaded, or they are overworking or something than the normal millennial employees. So
Sure.
what is the problem with the Gen Zs? They are saying that 25%, the report says it.
Right.
Why is it so?
So one, maybe there's more awareness of stress.
Yeah.
Also, different people have different tolerances for stress, right? So we also found in our data, so during the pandemic, we had so many people use counseling, right?
Yeah.
You would think, oh, the pandemic is over, it'll come down. But it's actually gone up because we've all been through the pandemic, and so our ability to cope with the same thing has changed. Maybe it's become lesser.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe there's more awareness of stress and maybe more uptake of services because of that. And also, when you're younger, maybe you do have a little bit less resilience, right? You've been through less stuff, maybe. And so as you get older, hopefully you get better at dealing with challenges, and maybe the same stress may not stress you out so much.
Yeah.
And I think one thing we always do when we talk about stress is that stress isn't bad. There is a eustress, which is good, which will push you to do and grow. And there is a distress, which is bad, which maybe hurts you a little bit more.
Yeah.
So the way that you view stress, the way that you understand what kind of stress is it, like some stress is good, it pushes you to grow. Some stress is bad, it's depleting you and making you burnt out. So as long as you're aware of that, as long as organizations are aware of that and helping you move towards the good stress, then it should be solvable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys deal more into B2B, and you work with the corporates, and you also interact with the employees.
Yes.
Have you seen the difference between interacting with a startup person who is working in a startup
Sure.
and also in a MNC? So can you tell me the difference of whenever they're talking to you
Yeah.
during the therapy session, the level
Yeah.
of stress they're having?
So a couple of things. I'm not a therapist, so I don't talk to. So I don't. The counselors do that, but I can tell you. I think in a startup, there is a lot of excitement and multiple people doing multiple things, maybe for the first time, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So while there is excitement and you're working long hours, so you might get burnt out also a little bit more because there is some uncertainty. You're doing some things for the first time. You don't know if your investors are going to come back and fund your next round or whatever else. You have some targets and goals. You need to be profitable, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So the kind of issues that you face there is different than maybe a established company where there could still very well be target pressures and other things, but maybe the issues are different. And I think at a leadership or a CEO level, certainly there may be differences, right? So startup founders do get burnt out at a much higher rate than other leaders, and they have to watch out for that because they're doing everything. But you will also get burnt out if you're working like 18 hours a day or how many hours a day often. So you have to work on maintaining that, and you have to watch out for that in your teammates.
Ma'am, we have often heard of an argument.
Yes.
Okay, usually like people say startup employees are more stressed than the employees in MNC.
Yeah.
So what is your take on this?
I think there are more systems in place to contain stress in MNCs. There's more, maybe more benefits and other things, but maybe in startups there may not be that systems in place. But also startups are operating with a lot of excitement and energy, but also a lot of uncertainty, burnout. A lot of like, we don't know if we'll be funded next time around. We don't know if we're going to outbeat our competitor, etc. So you're doing a lot of new things, learning a lot of new stuff, which can be a little bit stressful and a little challenging to deal with that uncertainty. Maybe at a MNC, things are a little bit more regulated and a little bit more systematic. So maybe there could still be stress. I mean, there could be stress, but I think less founder stress and less burnout. Burnout is the one that I think there's maybe less of.
And you also mentioned, like before we are speaking, and you talk about the good stress and bad stress.
Yes.
And so what is your take on this thing, that how is good stress helping a startup employee or a founder?
Oh, wow. Hopefully it's helping them grow and realize that they can do more. They can learn more, right? You were telling me just before you made your brother come here and become an editor of the company, the first editor. He just picked it up and learned it, and that's quite something, right? Like it builds your confidence. It makes you think, okay, I can pick up new things. I can succeed in all these other things. So it might be a good thing to push yourself to try out new things and take a little bit more risks. So I would think maybe that's what a startup offers. Some confidence and ability to take a risk.
So if you have to see according to the age group, okay, what age group people do you think are more in stress into it? Are they the age between 20 to 25 or 20 to 30 where they have to build their career, life, everything? Or are they the parent segment जहाँ पे 30 साल के बाद जब parents होते हैं that time वो stress that comes? So what is that age?
I think stress is there throughout your life. So and when you're 40 or 50, you could have parents who are sick. You have to take care of them. Some of them, sometimes they might die. So I think every life there is. But you're right in what you're saying. Ki most of the people who take counselling from us, they are under the age of 35 or 30. Young people are taking more services from us than older population. Is it because they're more aware or more stressed? I don't really know. But they are taking more. They are exhibiting more signs of depression, anxiety also. We screen for that. So they do have more depression, anxiety than the people who are older who come to us. So that's what our data is saying.
Today, if you go to see in Bangalore itself, there are almost, how much I know, almost 10 to 15 startups I know who are dealing with mental health space. So how do you think you are different from them, or what are the things you are doing that other startups are not doing?
Sure. I think India is a complicated place. We have learnt by trying and experimenting for 24 years how to work, and we've learnt that not every one person is the same. Me today, I might have a very different issue than me half a year from now, right? So the way I need to be treated is different. We have pioneered all the protocols that most of the industry and the market takes for granted, okay? Back when we started, we were seeing a lot of suicide or self-harm cases. Until 2017, it was still not decriminalized in India. So we had to develop a lot of protocols, which we did with some experts at NIMHANS, and we regularly interact with them on how do you detect that somebody is at risk for suicide, and then what do you do quickly to bring that risk level down, right? So a lot of these things aren't readily available, aren't established. The second thing that we do really deeply and well is we invest a lot in our counselor training. We hire from the top institutes and the top people from the top institutes, and we put everybody through rigorous training for 6 months. They are all supervised. Every suicide risk case is 100% supervised because you have to have quality. And because in India, there's no regulation around who can become a counselor and who cannot. Anybody can say, I do a 2-month course and say, I call myself a counselor. So that may not be the best thing. We only hire masters in psychology and counseling psychology. We put them through this training. Our helplines are primarily staffed by counselors. They are not staffed by tele helpline, call center people. No, it's not, because sometimes we've had calls in the past where somebody can't speak, they are crying, right? Even an AI may not be able to tell, this is a person deeply in distress, right? They may not be able to tell that this is a person deeply in distress, but because our counselors on the line, they are able to assess and hopefully get them the help they need, hopefully immediately. So those are things we do. Plus we have scale. I mean, we counsel in 13 different Indian languages. We have 5 different modes. We just added Indian Sign Language as a mode that we do counseling in. So there's a lot of richness and things that we've developed and work with. And because we work with all kinds of industries and the top companies in all kinds of industries, we've seen all kinds of people and learnt, because we've done 1.1 million counseling sessions till date. All of that learning goes into our counselor training, and we constantly try to improve. So those are some of the ways in which we are different from somebody starting today.
And also, can you give some of the big name of the companies where you're working with or you're helping them with the counseling? And
okay, I can't really, but I can tell you that we work with companies that have a employee headcount of like 50 to 100, to several of them who have more than 1 lakh, right? So we work with every size. And we have about 90 customers who have at least 10 to 15,000 employees in India. So yeah, we work with some large companies and small companies, mid-sized companies, all kinds of companies. That's
all the startups in this mental health space, right?
Yeah.
Everyone are concentrating for giving these therapy sessions for the software engineers or the whole team.
Yes.
All the white collar people are getting these therapy sessions. What about the blue collar? Do you cater this thing?
Absolutely, we do. So some of our we work with a lot of PSUs, right? Public sector undertakings. A lot of them have people in the factory or the plant locations across India. We work with a lot of like automotive part and automobile companies. So yeah, we do work with the blue collar segment, and we understand that their problems are very different. A lot of the time, they are away from home in a plant location. They have a lot more financial stress than somebody who's sitting in Bangalore working in an IT MNC, right? The way they cope with it is also different. They may be smoking a little bit more than your IT sector employee, or doing a few other things, and then their work and what stress their work creates is also different. It might be monotonous, it might be physically taxing for them to be standing that long. An IT employee has overwhelmed with screen time and may have postural or other concerns, and may have other issues, or maybe work is not even as much of a big issue for them as perhaps for some other people. But yeah, I think the difference is the way that you approach it is different. a lot of the times for the blue collar workers, we do our awareness sessions in local language because it doesn't make sense to do it in a English or Hindi or whatever, right?
You have to go regional.
We go regional. If we're in Jamnagar, we'll do it in Gujarati. If we're in wherever we are, we'll do it in that local language.
So can you just tell us in India where all you all are present? Everywhere.
We are present everywhere. I mean, we sent one counselor to Daman and Diu like last 2 months ago. So we've sent counselors everywhere.
Can you tell me one case study where you felt like the person who came for therapy, you felt like he's not going to go back, like the stress or the anxiety, whatever the reason for the mental health condition he has come for, and you're like कि ये तो अभी सुधरेगा नहीं यार, he would not go back, and something like some miracle happened and you have seen the success story, like we have done it.
Okay, so first of all, I don't see it because I'm not a counselor. We maintain that division very strongly. So
you might be knowing one edge case.
I may
know
some edge case, but look, we always have hope that you can come out of things, right? So we've done 16,000 high risk cases. What does high risk mean? Somebody who either wanted to commit a suicide or a homicide, right?
So that is the extreme case.
That is the extreme case. So we've addressed that successfully 16,000 times. So every day there is some risk case that our counselors dealing with. We've helped somebody who I think ingested poison on a train whose phone was dying, right? And her phone was dying, and the counselor somehow got her to give the phone number of the passenger sitting next to them. They informed the I think the railway, I forget the station manager of the next station, somehow got her help and saved her life. So this kind of thing happens every day. I am not doing anything. My team is doing everything. Our counselors are really great. So this kind of thing happens where you've helped someone at a really perhaps bad point in their life. And I think what I want people to know is often it is not a spur of the moment. It is like a tipping point. So something would have happened, something else would have happened, something else would happen, and then finally one last thing happened that makes a person want to take this action. And often it's not that they want to end their life, they want to end the pain that is making their life unbearable. So I think if we just help them cope with that pain temporarily, people come out and they're quite successful, and it's not something to be ashamed of seeking help for it, and everybody should seek help.
So if you see 3 out of 10 people, if you go to see and if you meet around, they say I'm having stress, I'm under stress.
Yes.
So what is the definition of stress, and when I can say I'm under stress?
I think the definition of stress is anything that challenges you and requires a reaction or a response. Anything that challenges you is stress. Now you might be have a very big stress appetite and say, it's a challenge, but I'm going to do it and prove them wrong. Or you could be like, oh God, how do I deal with this? And like, this is too much. So I think that is maybe my bad definition. I'm sure my psychologists have much better definition. But there is good stress, there is bad stress. And the way that you also look at the stress may affect the way that you respond. So if you think of something as a challenge to overcome versus something that's again put on your plate, there may be differences, but life is unpredictable. Everybody will go through stress and hopefully get better and better at dealing with whatever stress that comes their way.
So this is again out of the box and out of the context. I'm asking one of the question. So this incident happened last week or something. One of my friend had this news that he's one of his best friend. Like he had rat poison due to some relationship conflicts. And
that is the most common context for which people are stressed out. Is often
in last 2 weeks I've seen 2 cases now. What you have to tell, what you have, so that you can tell people like this who are committing suicides and having rat poison or acid or any kind of material which is not going to the body and they're taking it and they're harming their life.
I hope you don't feel so bad and take this step to harm yourself. I hope you find either support from you or from your friends and family to not do that to yourself. And if you've still done that to yourself, please get help. And yeah, I just hope that nobody is under so much stress that they're taking that step, and know that you are not alone. And your pain, I absolutely understand. Going through a breakup or whatever that might be is not easy. But yeah, you're not alone, and there's people to help, and I hope that you get out of this.
There are people like one-to-one help.
Yeah, that's what. Thank you.
I'm promoting.
Yeah, that's a great plug.
Yeah.
But thank you. Yeah, there's people to help, and like you're not alone. And
I guess people who are going under so much of stress and
Yes.
are taking this wrong decision, there needs to be someone who is coming. You're not alone. We are there to help you, and
Yes.
we are there to listen to you.
yes.
The problem in India and outside world is like there people want to speak.
Yes.
People want to remove the stress out, but there is
Yeah.
no one to listen.
Yes.
They are alone in a crowd of thousands
Yes.
and millions now.
Yeah, millions. Well, we are here to listen and to help.
Yeah.
That was our first tagline.
Yeah.
We still stand by it. So yeah, we're here to listen and to help. And I hope, even if you don't come to us, but you find someone who's there to listen and to help. And yeah, I hope your pain goes away. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to give an advice for a 25-year-old corporate employee, it might be.
Okay.
If you have to give advice to a 25 years corporate employee and who is under stress or something
Yeah.
and dealing with his personal problems
Sure.
and other things. So what is the first step he can do before going to therapy or something? Home remedies, or he can do some exercise, breathing exercise, what it can be?
Okay, I'm really not qualified to give this answer, but I will try. First, I guess you could figure out what emotion am I feeling,
Yeah.
and maybe you can just name what emotion you're feeling and sit with that emotion, figure out where it is in your body. You could journal. I think our counselors often recommend that you can journal and write about things. Or, yeah, I think you can figure out a little bit more and before you go to therapy, but I would always recommend like talking to a professional. But whatever else may make you feel better, whether it's talking to a friend or whatever, yeah, do those things maybe.
Yeah.
But you can always still speak to a therapist. And I think my go-to will always be go talk to someone professional.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are some things. You can journal, you can note what you're feeling. We do something called box breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold, and then exhale, and then do all this. There's loads of exercises out there that you could do. Sometimes they say, think about your thought. Where is this, how is this thought related to the feeling, and how is it related to the behavior that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So my child did really badly in school.
Yeah.
My thought might be, I'm a terrible parent.
Yeah.
My feeling might be guilt and like anxiety. And my behavior might be really helicoptering the child, or might be like panicking and saying, oh God, if you put him in tuition, I have to do all this, or whatever else it might be, whatever behavior. But hopefully in therapy, what you would learn is, if your child did badly in school, doesn't mean you're a terrible parent. It just means they need help in some way. And so then hopefully you'll figure out what is the help they need. How much of that can I give? How much of that do I need to outsource? And hopefully you move along. But just because one outcome happened in school doesn't mean that you're the worst parent in the world. So hopefully a therapist, or maybe you can do this for yourself, is to figure out the difference between the thought, the feeling, your behavior, and then not to like think everything is the worst or to catastrophize, but you can learn a little bit more about some common distortions that happen and work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have spoken more about stress under this mental health topic.
Yeah.
So what all things are covered in mental health? So
Okay.
I am not aware of what all the things
Sure.
are in this bucket when we call it mental health.
Sure.
And we know
Right.
health, but we don't know what is mental health.
Okay.
So
So I will again I will explain this from our perspective.
Yeah.
The way we classify concerns is self, and largely it's self-development. So people struggling with some emotions like anger, shame, guilt, or they're doing badly on their self-care, like they're not sleeping or they're eating poorly, etc. Or they have some negative image of themselves. So that's self-related.
Yeah.
We also work on a lot of relationship concerns. So whether that is with your girlfriend, boyfriend or partner, or with your spouse, often that's how you segment it. And sometimes your family relationships, all of us may have complicated relationships with our parents. Then it's sort of work, and then there may be some mental health conditions that are sort of diagnosed, and so those are specific mental health conditions. And parenting also is another way that we bucket it.
Yeah.
The number one reason for which people come to us for counseling is self, followed by relationship.
Okay.
Work is like the fourth thing, right? Or they have some other mental health concern that they have that they're seeking help for. That's how we think about it. But everything could be mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's begin with the rapid fire.
Okay.
And you have to answer it very quickly, okay?
I will try.
One word that comes in your mind when you hear the word mental health in India.
Growing.
A daily mental health ritual which you'll never skip.
I have no mental health rituals. So bad. Yeah, I don't have anything
This
to
is
do
crazy.
it. So bad.
A
Yeah,
book?
I don't have anything.
Yeah, a book, a podcast, or it might be any YouTube that changed your thinking about mental health.
Esther Perel, I guess I read a lot about I learn a lot about relationships from her.
One myth about therapy that needs to die today.
That you have to wait for a problem to happen in order to go to a therapist.
Then without having a problem, I can...
Yes, you should. You should go.
Yeah.
Why not? To be happy or more fulfilled, or to be at purpose, or to improve yourself. Yeah, why not? Like you would for a coach. Why not? Yeah.
Okay, this is one of the funniest question.
Sure.
Who needs the therapy the most, founder or the investor?
Whoa. Both, but the founder. Founders have a lot of responsibility, so I would say maybe the founder.
Yeah, that's it. We have covered most of the questions, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you, ma'am, for coming on a
Thank
podcast and spending so much of your precious time.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot.